I am continuing in my playthrough of 7 Years World War from S&T 221, and I apologize I don't have a picture of what happened on turn 5, but turn 5 represents 1760, 1761, and I'll just review some of the things that happened during this turn of the game if you've been following along. One thing of a historical note, King George II historically died during this period, and King George III, who would later have a lot of conflict in the 13 colonies, succeeded him. And during the Treasury phase, one of the problems for the first player, Britain, Prussia, and the Dutch, is that the trade route to the East Indies is blocked. It's interdicted, so they don't get to collect money for that. However, the English did spend some diplomatic efforts and recruited Persia as a minor power alliance. So that will open up, more potential. France and Spain and the Maratha Confederacy, India, have they have a trade route to the Philippines, which is blocked by the Dutch Navy. So, however, the Spanish do have a route to the West Indies, and they're able to collect some funds off from that. Austria and Russia have the third coalition, and the Russians spend effort to build some fortifications in the province where Moscow is, and the Austrians play the balance of power chit. And if you remember, that chit goes against the initiative player, the player in the lead, and they have to return some random number of campaign chits. And in this case, the British had to return 2 campaign chits to the randomizer. And finally, the Manchu and Ottomans make up the fourth coalition here, and they do have the China trade route, so they get some extra money from that. And the Manchu Empire is quietly becoming very powerful, mostly because its only real conflict so far has been with Russia. So we start with the first turn. What happened is the England, Prussia, and the United Provinces had initiative, and the British fleet moved some troops into Brazil, and then sent fleets to the West Indies trade route, where they attacked the Spanish Navy and defeated it. So that's going to interrupt that trade route most likely. England also engaged in the Wilderness War, and they attacked the French in New France and scored a victory there. Then they had General Wolfe launched an attack against the French in Louisiana, and they won there. That is the English. And then they used a forced march chit and launched another attack in New France, and this time it was a bloodbath, so both sides lost forces in this. The Dutch Navy lands in the Philippines, and the United Provinces also sent, interestingly, an army into the 13 colonies to buttress their alliance with the British there. And then in Europe, the Prussians launched a campaign against the Russians in Ukraine, and they defeat the Russians here. However, the Prussians did not leave an army extended into that region, so we'll have to see what would happen during the Russian turn. We go to the second player. That would be France, Spain, and India. And since the Spanish now are covering the French flank, the French decided to run an incursion into Italy, and they defeat the Italians in a campaign there, and the French army occupies Italy. And in India, the Maratha Confederacy sends a horde into the western part of Mysore, and that's captured without a fight, and it has a treasury point value, so that will add to the France, Spain, India coffers during the next turn. Then during the third player, Austria, Russia, attempted to consolidate some of its victories in the east against the Manchu. And then they sent a force in to occupy Ukraine, which was left empty by the Prussians after the defeat of the Russians there. So that was all for naught, all of that fighting. And that was pretty much all that happened for Austria-Russia. And the last player is Manchu and the Ottoman Empire. So the Manchu government decided to launch a campaign against Japan, which is a minor power. And unfortunately, it didn't go very well. And the Manchu army was destroyed, a Manchu fleet was destroyed, and the admiral that they had was killed. So that didn't work out in the best way possible, I guess, for the Manchu Empire. The Ottomans, who were aligned with them, decided to attack the Persians. Remember, the Persians came in as a minor alliance with England this turn, and the Persian forces are defeated. The Ottomans then use a forced march chit and launch a second attack against the Persians on the northern border, and the Persians are also defeated here, and the Ottomans occupy the region. Anyway, that brings turn 5 of this game to a close. I am sorry again that I didn't have any photographs for this. The next turn, I think I have 2 or 3 photos that go with turn 6. So if you're interested, stay tuned for that video in the near future. Have a great day.
Trucking, got my chips scanned.